What's up, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a video game review. First Nintendo Switch review, and that will be, of course, one and only The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild for the Nintendo Switch, also available on the Wii U. Now, Breath of the Wild has been sort of development for a while, though, ever since it was originally announced back in 2014, shown off at Nintendo's E3. Originally, it was supposed to come straight to the Wii, and it still did, though, but by the time 2015 and 2016 started to roll around, it became obvious, though, based on the sales numbers of the Wii U, based on how poorly that was doing, that it was becoming more and more likely that they were going to release it for their next system. At the time, it was called codename NX, though, before it was called the Switch, though, which had followed a very similar pattern to what happened with Twilight Princess, when that was originally supposed to come out in 2004, got delayed until 2015, then got delayed till 2016, when it was eventually released not only on the GameCube, but also on the Nintendo Wii, though. So I think a lot of people saw that coming, and it wasn't much of a surprise when it happened, though. But anyway, after playing the game for about over 2 weeks, though, I haven't beaten it yet, I will say that it is probably the second best Zelda game I've played since Majora's Mask came out, though. So why don't we get started with the pros and cons? We'll start first with the pros. The first one I want to say is that I really like the visuals and the art style in the game, though. While I'm not huge on cell shaded, though, I wasn't a big fan of the cell shaded look in The Legend of Zelda: Wind Waker, though. There are some people who won't play that game because of it, though. I'm not one of them, though. Still a good game, just I'm not a big fan of it, though. But I will say that visuals look nice. I like how they sort of compromise between using the look from Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess to the look used in Wind Waker, very similar to what they did with Skyward Sword. So visually speaking, the game does look good, even though it's at 900p, even though a lot of us would like to have it at 1080p, though. It looks good at 900p when docked, 720p when in portable and tablet mode. The next part I will like to say is the open world feel to it. Now, this may be the first Zelda game where you could pretty much go wherever you want to go. I mean, if you want to go straight to the final boss, if you want to go face Ganon, you could do that. You could literally go straight to the final boss if you want to. Most likely you're going to get your butt whipped, though, but you could do that if you really want to. And I liked the fact that it kind of shakes up the formula a little bit, rather than following the tried and true formula that has been used in past Zelda games. Sort of like you have to go to certain dungeons and orders in a certain order. You could go pretty much everywhere you want to. You could get, I've gotten lost so many times finding a lot of the shrines, though, from finding the seeds, I think there's those called cocoa seeds, or I could be saying it wrong, so I apologize if I am, to finding hidden treasures, hidden goodies. So there's a lot you could do, and so it is an open world type of a game, and it kind of borrows a little bit of that kind of approach used in a lot of Western RPGs, like Skyrim and Fallout. And finally, last but not least, is the gameplay mechanics, though. It follows, it's a solid gameplay mechanics. Some of it is very similar to what is used in, the traditional Zelda game, though. New to it now is that you gotta watch your weapons, though, because each time you hit an enemy, though, while it does damage, it also loses its, I think, durability, and eventually it will break. So you sort of have to balance between when you want to use them or not. But in terms of gameplay mechanics, though, it's good. I mean, I also like the fact that you can also cook and make recipes from spells, to potions, to different meals and everything. So overall, from a solid gameplay mechanics, it is a good game, though. Alright, we're going to take a little bit of a break. When we come back, I'm going to get to part 2 of the cons, and of course, part 2 of what I like to refer to as Reviewgate, though. If you missed part 1, I do have a link in the description. It was part of my Horizon Zero Dawn review, so check that out when you get a chance. So we'll take a little break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of excuse me, of our review of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild for the Nintendo Switch. And I will get to part 2 of what I call Reviewgate, though. Alright, so now that I told you the pros about what I like about The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, let's get to the cons, though. And there are really only 2 cons, at least as far as I'm aware of, that I have with the game. The first one, of course, is the frame rate issue. While I will say the frame rate issue is nowhere near the level as, say, like Assassin's Creed Unity was when that came out in 2014. We all know how completely terrible that was, though. There are occasions, at least as far as in dock mode, where the frame rate does dip a little bit. It doesn't completely ruin the game entirely, though, but it is very easy to spot, though. Now, I do want to point out that I've only seen this when it's in the dock mode, / console mode. As far as it in portable mode, I didn't see that at all during my playtime with The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. But but when in dock mode, there are times when the frame rate does dip a little bit, though. It doesn't ruin the game completely, and it doesn't dip to the point where it's unplayable, but it does happen most of the time when there might be a lot of things on the screen, however. And finally, last but not least, and this is the gameplay mechanics. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the pros, though, I talked about how they were solid and they were good, and they still are. The only difference is, however, and I pointed this out in my review of Horizon Zero Dawn, and I will point it out here, is the fact that it doesn't do anything new that hasn't been done in other games before. Ranging from, like, climbing to the top of the tower to unlock a map. Very Assassin's Creed-like approach. A lot of the Western RPGs go open world kind of approach. So, as far as gameplay mechanics, it doesn't do anything new. So if you're going into this game thinking it's going to be like what Ocarina of Time is, where it's like they introduce something new that's going to be revolutionary, that it's going to be seen in other video games, you're not going to find that here in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Yes, it is. Yes, the mechanics are solid, but they're not revolutionary or anything like that. Overall, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, in my opinion, is not going to change the way you play video games or anything like that. It's just like with Horizon Zero Dawn when I mentioned that in my review. But what Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild does correctly, however, is that it uses these mechanics very well, and it shakes up the formula that has been used in past Zelda games, and sort of be interesting to see where the Zelda series goes from here after Breath of the Wild, though. So overall, definitely a good game, solid entry into the Zelda series, and definitely a must-own if you're picking up a Nintendo Switch, if you manage to pick up a Nintendo Switch. If the Wii U is your only system, then get the Wii U version, but I would recommend the Switch version, though. Okay, I'm going to get to the second part of part 2 of what I called Reviewgate, though. As some of you are probably aware of, by this point everyone knows that Jim Sterling, aka the Jimposition, did a review of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. He gave the game... Hold on, I think I dropped something here. Okay, there we go. He gave the game a 7 out of 10. This had upset some people, mostly diehard Zelda fans, mostly, and it got even to the far where he was DOSed or attacked and his website got taken down over this, though, and he sort of blamed a lot of zealous Zelda fans, as he referred to it, though. Now, I do want, before I begin giving my take on this situation, though. Oh, hi. Fine. My movie was good. It's just someone was here, though. I do want to point out this very loud and very clear, though. I'm in no way in support of the attack made on his site, on his website, or the attack on him or anybody that gives Breath of the Wild a review, whether you agree with the review or not. I do not agree with Jim Sterling's review. I do not believe Breath of the Wild deserves a 7 out of 10, but that's his opinion. He owns the website, the Jim Position. He owns his YouTube channel. He can give it whatever review he wants to. And if he wants to give it a 7 out of 10, he has the right to give it a 7 out of 10. So I won't disagree with his right to do that. And I will condemn the DOS attack made on his website. That said, as I said earlier, I don't agree with his review to give it a 7 out of 10. And I can't help but feel to some degree, though, that he kind of opened himself up for this to happen. I'm not saying he deserved it under any circumstances, but I feel like he kind of opened himself up to it, mostly because of a lot of criticisms he has given to Nintendo. Now, I want to be clear, Nintendo is not by any means immune to any criticism whatsoever, okay? There are decisions they have made in the past that they do deserve the right to be criticized. I don't agree with their decision to add forced motion controls in Star Fox Zero, though. I'm a little iffy about their YouTube record, though. While I understand they have to protect their intellectual properties, though, I do think sometimes they go a little bit overboard with it. Compared to Sega, what they did with Sonic Mania, where they actually worked with these people who made a fan-made project and turned it into an actual game, though. So, yeah, that, though, I know this one's going to be controversial as well. I have respect for Shigeru Wada. I think he was a really good game developer, and I think he was a nice person. As a businessman, I think there are some mixed feelings of some of the decisions he made that put Nintendo kind of in the position that they are right now. I think there are other factors as well, but I think I know it's not everyone will agree with me on this. He kind of contributed to it to a certain degree, though. And so, bottom line is Nintendo's not immune to any criticism, and there are times when I do agree with Jim Sterling. I think he was right on the Gamergate issue, where yes, there's nothing wrong with disclosure, but the online harassment that came with it should certainly have stopped, though. He's right to call out Ubisoft over the Watch Dogs debacle, where Watch Dogs was selling a game on visuals and then tried to retreat back onto the graphics aren't important argument, and they were called out on it, though. And I did side with him and I certainly did side with him with this digital homicide over the fact of how many bad games they put on Steam, even though I'm not a Steam user. But I will admit that sometimes he does take things a little bit overboard, and I think I personally think he went a little bit overboard with some of his criticism towards Nintendo. I do think, especially one video that I think he kind of opened himself towards it, and that was doing a video talking about how it's okay to pirate it from Nintendo, or how it's okay to steal from Nintendo. And I felt like that and other criticisms, I kind of feel like it opened himself for this kind of situation. Again, I'm not saying he deserved it or should have happened. I just felt like he kind of opened himself to it, though. And while I do agree with some of his stuff, I don't think he's the end-all, tell-all. I respect him on some things, but I do disagree with him on other things as well. But I will say that despite this DOS attack, I think he will survive this, however. But I personally think he may have lost some credibility. I think some people will take his review with a bit of caution, though, especially if he does a Nintendo review, because now people are going to accuse him from being biased. Whether he's biased or not, I don't know. Whether he's truly believes that Breath of the Wild deserves a 7 out of 10, or he's using this because he has a personal grudge against Nintendo, I don't know. But the bottom line is, he doesn't deserve to be DOSed or attacked on this, though. But that doesn't mean he's immune to any criticism. And I do agree that I do not share his view that this game deserved a 7 out of 10, especially the whole weapons durability thing. I think it adds a bit of challenge to it, though. So, no on the DOS attack. But yes, the fact that he does deserve to be criticized about this, and I do feel that his criticism towards Nintendo, especially with the "it's okay to pirate it" from Nintendo. I'll have a link in the description of the video, and you can see that yourself. I do feel he kind of opened himself for this kind of situation to happen. Anyway, this concludes my video of my review of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild for the Nintendo Switch and part 2 of Review Game. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild? Are you enjoying the game? Are you not enjoying the game? Do you feel it changes the Zelda formula? Do you feel it doesn't change the Zelda formula though? Did you pick it up for the Nintendo Switch? Did you pick it up for the Wii U? Or do you don't have any desire to pick it up? And what do you think about the controversy with Jim Sterling though? Do you think he was right to give the game a 7 out of 10? Or do you think he was wrong about it? And do you think the DOS attack went a little bit too far? As always, sound off on the comment section below. Let me know what you think, and I hope you hit that like button. I hope you enjoyed the video. Also, I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel, and feel free to share this video if you want to. Also, feel free to donate to my channel if you want to. You can do it. I'll have a link in the description of this video. You could do it through PayPal Me, or you could do it through Patreon. Alright, so anyway, it's evening here in Southern California, so I'll be getting myself ready for bed, and I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that will be soon. Until then, for Southern California, I will see you again next time. Bye!